They were okay watching you suffer. Now it is their turn. They were okay watching you suffer, and now it is their turn to sit with the pain they thought you would never come back to them. They saw what they were doing to you. They saw the change in your face, the tiredness in your voice, and the way your spirit started becoming quiet. They knew their silence was hurting you. They knew their silence was hurting you. They knew their coldness was confusing you. But instead of stopping, they kept going. And that is what made it so painful. It was not only the disrespect, it was not only the betrayal, it was not only the lies, the mixed signals, or the way they kept making you feel like you were the problem. It was the fact that they could watch you suffer and still act like your pain meant nothing. They knew you cared deeply. They knew you were trying to hold everything together. They knew you were losing sleep, overthinking conversations and blaming yourself for things you did not cause. They knew you were hurting, but they still chose pride over compassion. For a long time, you carried that suffering quietly. You cried in private and still you cried in private and still showed up like you were fine. You smile around people who had no idea what you were carrying inside. You kept explaining your heart to someone who kept acting like your feelings who kept acting like your feelings were an inconvenience. You kept hoping they would finally understand the damage they were causing, but they did understand. They just did not care, and they just did not care enough to change. The truth hurt more than any apology could fix, because when someone accidentally hurts you, they may not see it at first, but when someone watches you break and continues doing the same thing, that is not confusion, that is a choice. They chose to ignore your pain. They chose to protect their ego. They choose to make you feel guilty for reacting. They choose to treat your suffering like it was proof of their power. And for a while, they believed they had won. They believed your tears meant control. They believed your silence meant weakness. They believed your patience meant you would always stay. They believed your love had no limit. But they were actually wrong. Something inside you started changing. They were actually wrong because something inside you started changing. The same suffering they thought would destroy you began teaching you the truth. It taught you who they really were. It taught you what love should never feel like. It taught you that peace cannot survive in a place where your pain is ignored. And so you stopped begging. You stopped begging them to see what they already saw. You stopped begging them to care about what they were comfortable causing. You stopped begging them to stop to you stopped begging them to treat you with basic respect. You stopped asking someone without accountability to handle your heart with kindness. And that was the moment their control started ending. Their silence no longer made you run after them. Their distance no longer made you blame yourself. Their coldness no longer made you question your worth. Their excuses no longer sounded like truth. You started healing slowly, Not because it was easy, but because you finally chose yourself. You began to remind your confidence, to rebuild your confidence. You began to protect your peace. You began to understand that the person who can watch you suffer without consent does not deserve unlimited access to your heart. And now it is their turn. Now they are the ones feeling the emptiness. Now they are the ones sitting with memories they cannot control. Now they are the ones wondering why your absence feels heavier than they expected. Now they are the ones realizing that losing someone genuine has consequences, and they may not suffer in the same way you did, but they are feeling the weight of what they caused. They are feeling the regret of taking your love for granted. They are feeling the discomfort of knowing they pushed away the person who truly cared. Who truly cared. They are feeling the silence of a life where your support no longer exists. And that is actually the fallout. They wanted you broken, but you are healing. They wanted you confused, but you are seeing clearly. They wanted you attached, but you are becoming free. They wanted your suffering to make them feel powerful, but now your peace is making them feel exposed. People are starting to notice too. They are noticing that you are calmer without them. They are noticing that the drama did not follow you. They are noticing that the person they called difficult is now peaceful, while the person who hurt you still seems restless, defensive, and unsettled. That is what the story that is when and that is when the story begins to turn. The same pain they ignored is now becoming evidence against them. The same suffering they dismiss is now revealing their lack of empathy. The same silence they used to punish you is now surrounding them. The same distance they created is now teaching them what they lost. And maybe they would still pretend. Maybe they would act like they do not care. Maybe they would tell people they moved on. Maybe they would try to cover the regret with pride, but deep down, they know the truth. They know you do not deserve what they gave you. They know you suffered because of their choices. They know they watch you hurt and still refuse to change. They know they broke trust they broke trust with someone who only wanted honesty, respect, and peace. Now your healing is becoming their consequence, because every step you take away from them reminds them that they lost access to someone who gave them more love than they deserve. Every calm moment in your life reminds them that their control is gone. Every boundary you keep reminds them that they are no longer available for the pain they were. Reminds them that you are no longer available for the pain they were comfortable giving you. You do not need revenge. You do not need to wish them pain. You do not need to become like them. Like to become like them. Life has a way of making people face the weight of what they did, especially when they hurt someone who truly cared. They were okay with watching you suffer, but now it is their turn to feel the consequences of their own actions, because the person they thought they could hurt forever is finally healing beyond their reach. Thank you for watching. If this is your first time coming across this channel, you're welcome, and may God bless you. If you're new here, kindly like, comment, share, and why not hit the notification bell and subscribe to this channel for more. To my returning subscribers, may God continue to bless you. I love you all so much.